Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the program? Some more ACC angling as a couple prominent alums or people with connections to a couple major universities angling for the ACC to bring their institutions aboard. One of them, I just don't see it at this point. One of them has a legitimate shot. And the ACC, if it's going to expand, is going to have to accept some realities here. We're going to dive into that. Also, a little brownout. Trent Brown, former Florida Gator, bagging on the University of Florida, saying they screwed him. Maybe a little bit. Which is why all the more reason, looking at things from his perspective, why certain athletes should be allowed to leave right away. And I want to wrap with this. 3/4 post. Every team in Major League Baseball, as of right now, is 3/4 of the way through the season. 40 games to go, 121 down. What we should make of the final quarter of the Major League Baseball season. At least regular season, that is. Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, Harp on Sports Auditory Route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Harp on Sports YouTube channel, Harp on Sports, the Facebook page. And you can check out the website as well, harponsports.com. All right, starting off first, a little ACC angling. Condoleezza Rice, Stanford, President Bush, SMU. His wife, Laura, the former First Lady, went to SMU. His library is there, and he wants the ACC to bring in SMU. Here's the thing when it comes to the Atlantic Coast Conference. They are not stealing anybody from the Big 12. They are not stealing anybody from the Big 10. They're not stealing anybody from the ACC. They need to become realistic here with their expansion. The Big 12 was realistic and it opened up opportunities. When the Big 12 lost Texas and Oklahoma, what were they? They were realistic. Cincinnati, USF, BYU, Houston. Big 12 was realistic, and in doing so, it opened up the gates for them to grab some other schools. The Big 12, smart. The ACC, when it comes to expansion, is going to have to take that Big 12 approach. Now, Stanford, Cal's in debt up to their eyeballs, an athletic department that loses money, something you don't hear very often here, at least in 2023, bleeding money. So they are kind of caught. And part of the deal is the ACC wants people to take a less share or a reduced share. They really can't do that. I still say when it's all said and done, Stanford and Cal's best solution is to be part of the Big Ten and part of that conglomerate that would be a West Coast faction of 6 teams. But here's the thing. When it comes to where they are, they got to make a move one way or another. Talking about Andrew Luck's father, Oliver Luck, former Stanford guy and Pac-12 guy, trying to kind of rebuild the Pac-12. Problem is, the American Conference, they got to wait for certain contracts to expire. So can Cal and Stanford hang in there? Don't know. But SMU makes sense. The ACC needs to get into other markets, into bigger markets, into states, into fruitful areas. The Big 12 is in Texas. The SEC is in Texas. Surprised the Big 10 didn't get in there, but the Big 10 did get into California. So I look at it from this perspective. The teams, now that the dust is a little settling from this, the ACC needs to decide, does it want to make that southern swing? You know, all the way up into Boston, all the way down to Miami. And, you know, how far inward do they want to go? It's a great question. Great question. Because they pride themselves on the name of the conference. It's like, well, okay, well, Atlantic Coast. Well, if that's the case, then if they're really, really hell-bent on staying with that ACC moniker, then Temple gives them the city of Philadelphia, and it's geographically locked in. Temple's a good basketball program. Football program leaves a lot to be desired, but it gives you the city of Philadelphia. And when the Big Ten was expanding, they weren't too concerned about the quality of football in Maryland and Rutgers. What were they concerned about? The TV market. So expansion of the conference, if they're bent on geography, then Temple makes sense. It does. Anyway, other than that, the schools that they should add, taking a step back and looking at it, the schools that they should add are SMU. They're not very good in football, but it's the city of Houston. Rice. They should add SMU and Rice. It gives you Dallas, Fort Worth, and it gives you Houston. SMU and Rice. Not good football programs by any means, but it gets you into the state of Texas. SMU, Rice, and I put Memphis, and then you decide between a school like then you decide between Tulane, Temple, and USF. If you want to go down that path. If the Big 12 made this leap out into Arizona and Arizona State, Utah, Colorado made this jump, the ACC should add SMU, Rice, Memphis, and Temple. That's what it should do. Now, the 4 schools that are blocking this, that didn't want to add Stanford and Cal, are Florida State, NC State, Clemson, and North Carolina, because they don't want to share any of the revenue. Well, you want us to grow the conference, you're going to have to share some of this revenue. And the schools that I just gave you, they can bite the bullet of not accepting money here because they're not getting real money right now. See, that's the thing about adding schools like this. You can reduce their share out of the gate, allow you to build up a little bit, then you can go get. But that's what they should do. Memphis is a good quality football program. SMU, not really. But the allure of SMU is what? It's Dallas. If you're going to add SMU, you can add Rice. Rice, Dallas. Rice gives you Houston, Dallas. Memphis, it's a top 40 market. Got an NBA team. And, again, I put Temple in there for Philadelphia. If they really want to expand the southern reaches, then Tulane replaces Philadelphia. Tulane or USF. Because then you can have New Orleans and you can pocket them, right? You can have Rice, Memphis, and if you're the ACC, what could you do at this point? Well, if you're the ACC, then you can get to 3 divisions of 6. You can start to do things like that. I know people have been wiping out divisions, but it allows you to have a pocket there, doesn't it? It allows you to have your SMU, your Rice, your Memphis, your Tulane. It allows you to pocket those teams. That's what you want to do. You can do what? Miami and Florida State. Now you've got your southern sphere, and then there's things you can do with this if you're the ACC. But I understand why they want to get their hands on Stanford. I get it. But if schools like Florida State, NC State, Clemson, and North Carolina are worried about their shares being diluted, then you're going to have to think Memphis, Rice. There's no sexy teams out there. They're just not. They're not. Nobody left. Not anybody's going to be a draw. That's where we are, gang. Had a chance to grab Cincinnati. Had a chance to grab some of these teams a few years ago. Decided not to. The FAUs aren't going to get you anywhere. So the ACC angle, George W., you win. SMU. The smart football move is SMU and Rice. Philadelphia with Temple. And now you've landed 3 top 10 markets for your expansion. And then, like I said, Memphis. So, a little ACC angling for you. Oh boy. From that to this. If you're unhappy in a situation and you have options, go for it. If you don't have options, I get it. I get if you're landlocked, there's only so much you can do. And certain people are caught. Certain people don't have options. Certain people do. If you are wealthy, you have tons of options. If you're not wealthy, there's only so much you can do. You are geographically handcuffed. And Trent Brown, interview, bagged on his alma mater, Florida. Not happy. Said he effed himself because they effed him over. Boom, 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 boom. Why? Because he was playing guard a decade ago in college and not tackle. So that would put you in the Will Muschamp era, wouldn't it? Will Muschamp, they screwed him. Yeah? Should have been playing another position. This happens all the time, right? Usually it's the other way around, though. Isn't it? Usually you don't move from it's harder to play tackle than guard. So it's like, I'm guard, but I'm a better tackle. It's like, what? How's that possible? But he's right. He's had a great career with the Niners, with the Raiders. with the Patriots. He's had a good career. Very solid NFL career. Started at guard. And look, he can be upset. He could have transferred. He could have left. But I really like it there. Well, those are the decisions that you have to make. They are. There are, and this is what's always funny with this, is there's certain cities that are better sports cities that aren't good tropically. I've had friends that have moved to, back to the Midwest from Florida, Detroit, Chicago, and the first comment, Minnesota, Minneapolis, oh, enjoy the weather. It's like, well, as a sports fan, I got news for you, gang. Chicago's a better sports city than, Detroit's a better sports city than a lot of southern states. You're going to tell me that Dallas is a better sports city nationally than Chicago? That Miami's a better sports city than New York? I mean, I'm talking wall-to-wall sports. Come on. If that were the case, then Honolulu's the best sports city in America. Come on. You have to look at San Diego, best sports city in America because the weather's great. So it's about perspective. If Trent Brown hated Florida, he should have left. He screwed me over. Leave. Now look, those are 2013 goggles, not 2023 goggles. That's what you do in 2023. If you're playing in a school and you're being screwed by position and your future's on the line in the NFL, why would you stay? I get what he's saying. And what he is saying and what this does is this shows you why students should have more freedom now. Why college football players should have more freedom to leave. If I want to be a tight end and I'm in a school and they're like, no, you're not going to be a tight end. You're going to be a receiver. No, I want to be a tight end. No. Or if I'm in a school and I'm like, I want to be a slot receiver. No, you're going to be a running back. I don't want to be a running back. I want to be a slot receiver. No, you're going to be a running back. I'm not. They in the NFL, they don't last long. They don't get paid squat. I don't want to do that. Yes, you're going to do that. Fans would say, toughen it out because they would dream to be on the team. But the problem is they have no leverage because they're not any good. Anytime anybody ever tells you, I'd play for free, well, that's because you're not any good. If you're good at something, you never do it for free. Do you do your job for free? No. It's ridiculous. So I understand what Trent Brown is saying. I understand why, they screwed me at Florida. You could have left. Could have left. In the day and age now, college football players saying this place screwed me? No. This place effed me over. Leave. You don't like it? Leave. So, again, was he playing out of position? Yeah. Better tackle than he is a guard. What happened? He got a chance in the NFL and he proved it. So, I don't know how they hosed him. How'd they hose him? NFL franchises are pretty smart and they figured it out, didn't they? They figured it out. And he's been, this is one of these things that you look back on college. Well, go to the place that'll play you tackle. When you're talking to a coach, I want to play tackle. Okay, well, we're thinking of, all right, well, you'll get the opportunity. Oh, am I going to play tackle or not, coach? Well, that's how you handle that. Coach, I want to be a tackle. No, we're going to move you to guard. I don't want to be here. I leave. But I really like that place. You got to make a decision. You may really love a city, but if they don't offer jobs, look at what you like to do. If you really love snow skiing, Dallas may not be the place for you, although it does snow a little bit. If you really love to ski, snow ski, then Miami's not the place for you. Tampa's not the place for you. If you love the beach, Denver, Colorado is not going to work for you. You can make your decision. Well, I really love to do this. Well, if you want to do this, you have to leave. So, got to make those decisions. Trent Brown, I get it. Understand it. But, come on. And what Trent Brown is saying, it's all the more reason why, if you're in a place and you're not happy, you should be allowed to leave. They hosed me. Yeah? You could have left. But I was loyal to the team. Loyal to you. Be loyal to you, brother. Want to wrap with this. We're at the three-quarter post. Yeah, Major League Baseball. As we hit the mid-stages here, we are in the mid-stages of August. I look around and realized, hey man, Major League Baseball is 120 games in, 162 game regular season. Some teams have 123 games under the belt. Everybody has at least 120 under their belt at this time. So what does that tell us? We're 3/4 of the way through the year. We got 6 weeks to go. We got a little over a month and a half to go. 40 games to go. Here we go. Here we go. And it's fascinating when you look at this type of season. This year is going to be known as what year? And we're 3/4 of the way through the year, so we take a little bit of an assessment of where we are. And it's kind of cooled off a little bit because he's been banged up, but it's the season of Shohei. It's the season of Shohei Ohtani, isn't it? It's his season. Still got a shot. Probably going to hit 50 home runs. He's up to 42 now. Guy's going to hit 50 home runs. You know, he's been a little injured, a little banged up. Oh, okay. Problem is, Angels are, 6 games back as I speak to you here. 7 games back in the loss column of a wild card slot. And they're not going to make the playoffs. So, here's a guy who's going to hit 50 home runs. He's the star of baseball. He's not going to be around in the postseason. There's no other sport that their superstar, best player in the league, doesn't make the postseason. It's impossible in the NBA. It's near impossible in the NFL. I can't even think when's the last time somebody won the MVP in the NFL and didn't make the postseason. I have to look that baby up. Maybe Barry Sanders, but even those years the Lions would find a way to limp in. It's the season of Shohei, and he's not going to make the postseason. But I went through and looked here as we have 40 games to go. No major milestones. Nobody's winning 20 games. 3,000 hits, no. 500 home runs, those benchmarks, no. A couple guys got to the 2,000 mark, right? We got Altuve now getting to 2,000. Freddie Freeman got to 2,000, but that's not. Nobody's close to 300 wins. Verlander's 48 away. We haven't had a 20-game winner in almost 20 years in Major League Baseball now. 20 years is up. 15 years. It's been 15 years since we had a 300-game winner. Tommy Glavine the last one. Randy Johnson was there at the end. Randy Johnson was the last one. It's been a decade. It's going to be at least after this year, at least 3 more years before somebody gets there. Because even if Verlander would win 4 or 5 more games down the stretch, he's at 44 away. He's not going to get 22 wins in back-to-back years. There's no way. So that's if he plays that long. No major milestones. Season of Shohei and faster games brought more interest. And it also helped baseball this year that you have this influx of new traditional teams that are good. Teams that were good in the past that are good. Think about this. Your 3 division winners in the American League right now would be the Twins, the Orioles, and the Rangers. That's just insane. Your division winners in the American League, the Twins, the O's, and the Rangers. Your wild cards would be the Rays, the Astros, and the Blue Jays. That's remarkable. That's remarkable. No Red Sox, no Yankees. Again, no Angels. A little bit different, isn't it? Now, look, Houston has been and remains the preeminent team in the American League the last 5-6 years now. And they're right there in the thick of things again. But O's, Twins, Rangers? Got new blood. Does it translate to consumption? In the National League, you've got the Braves and the Dodgers. There again, for the last 4 years, Braves, Dodgers. You got the Brewers. And then you've got the Phillies, the Giants, who, the Giants have had a little resurgence here. And then the Cubs and the Marlins are neck and neck. The Cubs make the postseason. It's always interesting. So the National League's a little bit different. The American League's like, what's this? The American League is upside down. And no Yankees, no Red Sox. I mean, the Dodgers are right there in the thick of things. No Cardinals. But you have Blue Jays and Twins. It's a fascinating season in the American League. It's just bizarre that you have all these teams that, think about what like a Twins Blue Jays ALCS would be like, or an Orioles Rangers ALCS. It's just weird. It's bizarre. You get usually 1 or 2 teams in here, but the one that's the Astros are the only team that you really look around and go, yeah, I expected that. The Rays are always in it the last 4 or 5 years, and in the National League, it's so top heavy with the Braves and the Dodgers. The American League, the Orioles are going to win 100 games, are going to. They have a very good chance to win 100 games. Braves and Dodgers both could win 100 games. A little bit tougher for them. A little bit tougher for the Dodgers, but it's just been a bizarre baseball season. The interest is up, the games are quicker, but there's usually when interest is up, games are quicker, you're looking at some fantastic run or, milestones. It's like there's no real milestones. The games are quicker, which kind of gets you to people falling in love with the game again, maybe, rather than the start. A little bit different. It's just we're 3/4 of the way through the season, and I look around and look toward the postseason and go, well, the Red Sox haven't shot all over, but it's not your. It's a different Red Sox team, right? There's no Big Papi. It's the Orioles. It's like, oh, what a great story, but there's no Mets. There's no Yankees. And that'll be interesting, right? No Mets, no Yankees, no Red Sox, no Cardinals. Padres, who spent all this money, no. And of all these, what's the best case scenario for a World Series? Well, look at again. The Astros are a villain. Astros, Dodgers, Astros, Braves, Astros, Phillies, Astros, Giants. All those. What's the nightmare World Series scenario? Well, Major League Baseball doesn't want Canada anywhere near it, but if all these teams are in the playoff hunt right now, what would be your bet? Oh, they're Marlins Twins. Imagine Marlins Twins World Series. So there you go. Harp Sports, the bar. Oh, by the way, looking at all right now, Ohtani's the MVP, isn't he? You got a chance, Ohtani and Olsen, the Braves. You got two guys that could hit 50 home runs. I said there's no miles. Maybe hit 50, but that used to be such a gigantic deal when I was young. Now it's Next year you can start kicking on, but you're 3 years away from a chance with Verlander as a 300-game winner. You're gonna get to 3,000 hits anytime soon. That's where we are. Harp Sports, the Bar podcast, media, audio, radio network. Remember, follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp Sports Twitter, at Harp Sports Instagram, Auditory Route, Harp Sports, the Bar, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Harp Sports Facebook page, Harp Sports YouTube channel, and of course, harponsports.com. My college football predictions are going to be coming up next week, NFL the week following. So, a little glance ahead as we start to pump the primer for the 2023-2024 football season. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, strong, Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.